Hello everyone. Now we'll discuss section 47 of CPC, that is questions to be determined by the executing court. It says all questions arising between the parties to the suit in which the decree was passed or their representatives and relating to the execution, discharge or satisfaction of the decree are to be determined by the court executing the decree and not by a separate suit. So you can remember like this: E, D, S. E for execution, D for discharge, S for satisfaction. So questions relating to execution, discharge and satisfaction are to be determined by the executing court. And also no separate suit to be brought by a party. These questions to be determined in the execution proceedings only. Now the object. Executing court is given this exclusive jurisdiction to decide all questions arising between the parties to the suit or their representatives in respect of execution, discharge and satisfaction to avoid needless litigation and unnecessary expenses. Now the question may be, executing court cannot go behind the decree. Explain. You should write like this: it should execute it as it stands and as per nature of the relief granted. But there are certain cases where executing court can go behind the decree. Those cases are where judgment debtor raises an objection that decree was passed against a dead person without assigning the legal representative of the deceased. Second, decree itself is ambiguous or defective. Third, decree passed without jurisdiction. In these cases, the executing court can go behind the decree. Some instances of questions relating to ADS. First, when property is wrongfully taken in execution. If the decree holder takes in execution a land which is not included in the decree or in excess of the decree, the judgment debtor must apply under this section for recovery of such land, and a separate suit for that purpose will not lie. Secondly, property taken in execution of an ex parte decree which is set aside. Here, if property is realized in execution of an ex parte decree which is afterwards set aside, the judgment debtor must apply for restitution under this section. He cannot file a separate suit for the purpose. Third, injunction granted by a decree. A suit to enforce a permanent injunction granted by a decree is barred under this section. The remedy in such a case is by way of execution of the decree. Fourth, decree on compromise of a suit. If a suit ends in a compromise decree, a subsequent suit to enforce a term in the decree which did not relate to any matter raised by any of the issues in the suit is barred by section 47. Questions not relating to execution, discharge or satisfaction. The instances are where the questions as to the validity of a decree. A court executing the decree has no power to go behind a decree and the question to its validity. Second, payment before decree. When a decree is being executed, it is not open to the judgment debtor to contend that he should get credit for the amount paid before the decree. Then, maladministration of judgment debtor's estate. A decree holder who fails to realize his decree by execution against the executor of the judgment debtor may file a suit against the executor for the administration of the estate and for accounts on the footing of maladministration. And last, second suit for redemption. If a mortgagor is, in effect, bringing a suit to execute a previous mortgage decree for redemption, then the suit would be barred under section 47. If, However, the right to redeem was reserved to him by the decree in the previous suit. A fresh suit for redemption can be filed. So this is all about section 47 CPC. Hope you all will like it. Thank you.